our next match will be VortiX, the player who baited us. We had news he was swapping a Vanguard for this tournament, and then he said, no, actually I'm playing Infernal.
No, I mean, VortiX for me, he's a guy that I currently compete with in AoE 4. He's a legend. I competed with him in Warcraft 3, competed with him in StarCraft 2 as well. So I've known this guy for 19 years at this point, Pig. Gosh, I was the youngster when I first came into esports. I am now the old fogey. Grandpa Toss, eat your heart out at how old I am right now. You know, but he's an RTS legend. He was also incredibly good in Heroes of the Storm. And oh, we're getting right on into it. We don't even have to talk that much about it.
Heck yeah, let's do it. This is exactly what we want. More games. There's so many games to play today. We are just barreling through them, and with good reason. We've got so many to cover. Down here in the bottom left, we've got VortiX in the top right. We've got, is it Bosse, by the way, or just Boss?
I think it's Bosse. Bosse.
Okay, so sorry, VortiX is in the top right, and Bosse is in the bottom left. It's going to be another Infernal versus Infernal. So we've seen creep path on this map is very important. And it does look like Bosse is going to open up those trees, something which VortiX has not done just yet. There we go, Imp's coming down to break the trees. So both players looking to do that meta opening of heading towards the speed camp, getting a bunch of fiends out, and then moving forwards to the vision and resource camps. So that's a good idea. Interestingly, Bosse is moving out even further. Are we doing a forward meat camp, perhaps? Meat farm.
Everything that these players do at this point, like the fact that these imps are getting more adventurous as games go on and doing kind of crazy little things. I mean, it's just fun to see. You can even see what Kiwian did earlier, or Top rather, at this point. He was just going around using one of his scouts just to get those resources, which I dare say he could do with this imp as well, right? But not doing anything thus far. Has to be a little bit careful. Ooh, those are two very quick fiends out on the aggressive.
Indeed, we're going to see what he can get done with it. I mean, some people are saying like maybe it's more like Bouse. Bouse, of course, is Swedish, so like a Bouse. I don't know. I like just Boss personally.
Bosse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of course, man. I'm freaking. I'm bilingual at this point, Pig. I speak the svenska so damn well.
Fantastic. I love the goats getting stuck there in the trees. This is a nice micro there from VortiX on the right side. Whereas you can see the goats are actually doing a lot more damage to Bosse. So taking a fair bit of damage while VortiX is moving ahead on the creeping. Oh, nice usage of the flowers, though. Very well done to heal those up as he moves forward to the chickens. And the forward Shroud Stone. What a fascinating idea. That's an interesting one, because I guess it allows you to control the vision cap there and recharge your Shroud armor, your white armor on the front line. VortiX goes in for a bit of a counterattack, though, with his fiends. Might be able to snipe the imp going down to the natural. Perfect timing.
Oh, that was very good. I mean, these units are incredibly fast. He's going to try and take out this as well, which could be very nice. A cancel there at the last second there from Bosse. And I mean, honestly, this is already doing quite a bit. We'll get another imp as well for his trouble.
Wow.
Nice play out of VortiX.
3 imps total, plus the cancel and the Shroud Stone. That's a lot of value for a few fiends. Fiends are kind of a throwaway unit. You know, they're not that expensive. In this case, they're free because you're getting them from those critters. And it's a great start for VortiX, who's got his expansion up. And as you said, you're competing with him in AoE 4. I mean, the Spanish brothers, they are just unstoppable. Lucifron and VortiX, in any game they touch, they will always be right near the very top. So definitely players to be afraid of and to keep your eyes on. And VortiX is looking like his opening in this mirror is very, very tight.
It's always funny when you see what these players have been known at as well through all games that they played. VortiX, incredibly aggressive in all titles, and already seeing that with the Fiends early on, just dealing damage, and he's relentless with them. He is. Like, not only is this getting lots of scouting information, which is great, but just any sort of slowing down of his opponent is nice, right? And right now he's back at home, kind of waiting for Fiends to turn up on his side of map, but just so far, Bosse is not about that. I mean, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm watching the evolution here of it, and just got my eyes glued to the screen in terms of what the next step is. So it does look like the upgrades are coming in for VortiX as well. VortiX production exploding, extra conclave going down there. A little tip for you guys, by the way, if you're looking for the difference between Iron Vault and Conclave, the Conclave has like a statue of a dude on the top right of it that you can see even when it's building from the very start. So basically, you just look for that big orange statue on the top right, and you can kind of see very clearly. Oh, that's a Conclave, and then the other one looks a bit more like a coffin.
Wait, you said one has a statue of a dude on top? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I think it's like a gargoyle or something. I don't know. It's some sort of demon thing.
I was just expecting like, okay, the demon thing. When you said a dude, I was expecting like a Johnny Bravo on top, with like sunglasses or whatever.
He's like a proper dude, bro, man.
Yeah, like he says tubular as he pops up. All right, this is a very quick Doombringer drop. I mean, we're 5 minutes into the game here, and that is getting on the Therium line, and VortiX very quick with the pull, by the way.
Oh, careful, Imp's so fragile, man. One imp already goes down. The Gaunt's going to get popped as well. Luckily, a new Gaunt pops out reactively. But these imps, you don't want to lose too many of these. It's a great drop for Bosse. It's really smashing. And looks like might be able to get 1 or 2 more imps before getting out of here. Oh, the imps kind of got left there to their own, but taking out the Gaunt of VortiX. VortiX taking big damage. That being said, Bosse has now left their Gaunts exposed on the left side. Will it matter?
VortiX has done counter damage on the other side, by the way. I'm looking at the minimap now. There is no natural left for Bosse. So, like, whatever happened on the other side of the map, VortiX did way more damage, and I mean, we didn't even get to see it, because he's been dealing with the harass over here, so it was a Doombringer of his own, and by the looks of it, it was just a bunch of Gaunts in there, so whoopsie-doo.
Bit of a big kind of fiend Gaunt run by something like that, just getting a bit out of control, and very well done. And, well, Bosse has to go home now, taking a lot of damage, but no. Oh my, there we go. GG comes out after losing that expansion. Bosse is like, no, I didn't do enough damage. I'm done for. So a bit of a sudden one. Mirror matchups in RTS games can be quick like that, but especially in these early days when players are figuring things out. Turns out VortiX defended well enough, bought enough time there, and of course distracted at home. There was that moment when the imps kind of started running towards the natural for VortiX, and I was like, oh, if the fiends follow, they could get like a bit more of a blossoming of the extra fiend spawns. But obviously he was a little bit busy getting his expansion just completely leveled.
Yeah, I mean, like VortiX, it looked like he was, I don't want to say flustered or anything like that, but it definitely looked like he was taking a little bit of damage there. But the thing is, he was dealing so much damage, and then Bosse is like, oh my goodness, I'm scouting and you're on a third base as well. So, I mean, VortiX absolutely grabbed that game by the horns. He was aggressive early on. He was aggressive throughout as well. And we saw that he handled the defense. He's just a neat all-round player. But I like to imagine my RTS players like Tony Hawk's characters where they have stats, and it's like, oh, his air's amazing, his showmanship. VortiX is all about okay, I've maxed out aggression in every way, shape, and form. And it's just, when you get to see it happen, he really is. Like, he lives up to the reputation of a Spaniard being a raging bull. And he really just dismantled Bosse that game.
Is it fair to say that Lucifron's a bit more like defensive compared to his brother?
If we'll go with the Tony Hawk character again, Lucifron a lot more well-rounded within regards to very much if I had to credit Lucifron to one thing in particular, it'd be the fact that he's a very cerebral player. He's very good about knowing what to do next, and yeah, I guess you would say he's more defensive than VortiX, given that VortiX is literally 11 out of 10 in the aggressive field.
Yeah. Okay, cool. It's interesting to see the differences there. Yeah, VortiX, I mean, definitely a very decisive player. I do remember playing him in ZVZ back in the day, and there was a lot of very well-timed like roach timing attacks right as his upgrades would finish. He would always like hit, bam, with like +2 attack, +1 carapace, and that sort of thing. So not that that's uncommon for Zerg versus Zerg back in Heart of the Swarm when I was competing with him, but he was always very, very ironed out in his builds, and it felt like everything proceeded in a very organized manner. I think the build orders for the two Spanish brothers are like definitely something where you can tell they have a very systematic approach to just figuring things out, mapping out the build and optimizing it and leading into that attack so that it hits that crisp moment in the game where they get maximum damage.
No, absolutely. VortiX was always one of those guys for me that in any best of 3 with anybody, especially against Terran, it would always be like some Roachbane all in, any way, shape, or form. So he's always been very good at the timing orientated play, and it's been like that throughout all the RTS titles that he's been a part of. And this is going to be Secluded Grove here to kick things off on the second map. VortiX is currently 1-0 ahead, spawning over the top right as our red Infernal player. It is Bosse.
And in the bottom left, VortiX going to go for the double production on a low ground. It's going to be a lot faster. Now, obviously, what's the payoff there? What is the difference for new players? Well, you lose your imp when you build that, which means you've got less guys mining as VortiX. Advantage, you're going to bank up charges on those earlier. You don't necessarily need to immediately spend all your money producing out of them non-stop because you can save those charges. So I really like the idea of getting the production up a little bit faster. But Bosse, is he fast expanding perhaps? Because he's much later to build a building. And he's going to try and go for Shrine first. Ooh, greedy defensive build.
It definitely is a little bit greedier than what we've seen from the Infernal players so far. Like, they've all been very much about getting the units out, getting that Fiend count up and running, because the more units you kill, the more Fiends are out on the map, and it just kind of spirals out of control. Now, back at home, we'll start his Iron Vault and his Conclave behind everything, and yeah, just very different ways of going about it so far.
It's interesting because, like, until VortiX sends a Fiend across, he won't know what's happening. And I feel like there's probably big opportunities to punish it if you knew immediately what's happening. But if VortiX doesn't know, does he just, oh, I'm just creeping, taking my own shrine, and then he kind of will realize, wait, your shrine's already done. Oh, and it might be too late to react by then. So we'll keep our eyes on it. Even if he doesn't punish it, I think there's an argument that taking all the camps on the map could be okay for VortiX. The problem on this map is if you don't break the trees down, it's such a long route between all the different creep camps. So it takes you a very long time to actually get to all of them.
It definitely does, and we see here that Bosse so far hasn't taken any damage whatsoever. Now, you can build off Shroud, and he's going for Shroud Stones too this game, so a very, very different approach, and it isn't a Gaunt so far. What I've seen, it's a Brute, and VortiX is just taking his time, just going around the map, getting creeping done, and from these creep camps, they can offer different things. I think everyone offers a resource of some sort when you're killing the units there. But yeah, you also get like speed, healing done, vision done. And you can see those little marks on the map here, like the eye there, that grants you vision, obviously, the heart, the healing, and then you got the resource camps as well.
Yeah, and even these ones that aren't resource camps, 25 Luminite, the resource camps give 40 Luminite per kill. And as those guys level up, they give a bit more as well per level. So, yeah, the creeps actually get really powerful as well if you keep killing them to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, these guys are kind of difficult to take down, but they do give you a fair amount that scales into the later stages. I don't know if they ever cap out. Like, I wonder if you kill like the level 10 creep camp and they stop spawning, because technically when the map's mined out, that's like the one thing that keeps spawning resources on the map, right? You know, it's not quite having a market with 30 traders getting you endless gold in Age of Empires, but it is technically unlimited resources, I believe.
Technically. I mean, honestly, I haven't seen that many creeps go beyond like level 3 or 4 or something like that. But Infest is online now. Those two Shroud Stones have a lot of work to do. Fiends do run on in right into the main base over here. So, oh, definitely annoying, but Bosse is definitely handling this decently. And VortiX, while this harassing is being done with 3 units, technically, he's off just creeping the map even more, getting resources in his own way.
Stealing the creep camp of your opponent, that's pretty cute. I mean, he only got 1 imp for all the fiends, so I think Bosse is pretty happy with having 2 bases up, and you don't really need to take the creep camps as Bosse. You can chill. Oh, he splits because, of course, the brute can't fit through the forest, but the fiends can. Good choice by VortiX to get out of there and slide away from trouble. And VortiX's expansion's up now, but he will be way lower on the imps.
Yeah, this brings back PTSD, man. Like from Warcraft 3, you get to a creep camp, you're like, yeah, I'm going to creep this, right? And then your opponent's walking away from it. And not only that, it splits into fiends, and it's like, God damn it.
Only thing worse than that is when you get creep jacked, right? It's like, the only thing worse than you finding all your creeps gone is like I'm going to take this, and then they jump on top of you. But so far, I think with the 2 base versus 1 base advantage in this game, thankfully not dropping boots of speed and tomes of experience, I think Bosse has the macro ability to build up a big army and use that kind of economic advantage to get back in it. VortiX, of course, is like, oh, you have an economic advantage? Yeah, not for long, mate. I'm just going to take a fast 3rd shrine. pump out tons of imps, and if you don't do something with your initial advantage, I will overtake you.
Yeah, it's nice that the laws of RTS do shine through. It's like, oh, you took your expo faster than me, I'll take my third faster than you to kind of match up with it. That's what we saw in very early StarCraft 2 days as well. Both of them going for a Doombringer at exactly the same time, and it really feels like getting on top of those Therium boys at the right moment can really cause your opponent a lot of trouble, and VortiX is very quick to meet it, and I tell you what, Bosse also is quite well prepared.
Yeah, these guys know their business. Really good preparation. Both sides get pushed back immediately. And that's really cool. I like this match. Bosse is taking a third as well on the right side. Grabs an imp, or no, great pullback. VortiX is on point as well. These guys are playing a game. I love it. You know, we've seen a few matches that were a little bit one-sided, starting, I think, with Parting's destruction. But it's cool to see a match where it feels like these guys are pretty evenly matched. Snipe an imp, get up, get out, you know. That's the way to do it. Shroudstone is now up there covering both Therium patches on either side of the map, and Bosse is just looking for an opening. I think denying the mining on the third is probably good enough to start.
It's definitely a start, and he is taking his own third base. Going for a very different one, though. You see he's gone far more for the center of the map, and I mean, that does help with not having your opponent just kind of camp here, where Bosse is camping VortiX, where he can kind of deny mining on the low ground and deny their Therium in the main base as well. Definitely an awkward spot, and VortiX, he is going to pop the super tower, and has to be careful with that Doombringer.
Took a lot of hits there. The Gaunts were stacking up damage on it as well. It's get out of there time.
He's hunting it down. He's hunting it down. His own
Doombringer.
He's got his own
drop. His own Doombringer. Oh, I think he's going to get it.
Boy, it's so he got it.
Oh, the Infest finished it off. Oh my gosh. The Infest damage being the final ticker, and that was a huge move for VortiX. You know, you're trapped in a mirror matchup. You think, okay, I guess we both just harassed with our drops. Bosse, though, not realizing, not only was there the super tower to get the initial damage, but the drop coming home. VortiX traps it and turns a mirrored situation into one where he's got the control.
Absolutely does. I mean, third base online a little bit quicker. Bosse definitely has to be a bit careful. He does not have a Doombringer still alive. VortiX does get a good scout on this third base of his opponent now. So that is very good for him. Therium base, there's going to be a shrine going down there for VortiX. A lot of these players have been very good about really prioritizing that Therium early on. Gaunt drop done, and wow, these Fiends, they have to be so careful. Super Tower dropped as well, focusing the Doombringer very nicely. I mean, this is a one-way ticket here for this Gaunt army.
Yeah, that was an overcommitment for VortiX. You know, I always talk about this base attacking in being an overcommitment on the ground. I'm not used to a Doombringer drop being an overcommitment, but great defense by Bosse. The Super Tower, really one of the best ways of shutting down that Doombringer drop at this point. And it's going to be interesting to see how it develops now, because VortiX has a fourth on the way. He seems to be confidently kind of macroing and creeping still. Bosse also taking... his fourth is on the Therium. So Bosse is going heavier tech, whilst VortiX is building a more traditional Luminite economy.
And who do you prefer this to? Or prefer this for? Because, I mean, obviously, I think both of them would love to get into the Rotidons eventually, and Hellborns after that as well.
I don't know. I haven't seen much late game Infernal versus Infernal, so I'm like, well, I mean, more Therium. You can make Shadow Flyers to shut their drops down if drops keep being an issue. You can make Magmadons very Therium heavy. Obviously, if you want to go Hellborn, or maybe even Weavers to counter the enemy Magmadons could be nice. I'm imagining like really funny interactions where you're like pulling their Magmadon away from the center of your army with your Weaver and stuff. You like keep the Weavers out to the sides or something. Pretty unlikely to see something that fancy, but definitely more tech options. The other one is the Flaming Imps, the Flame On, going up like the tech tree for that upgrade can also be something that takes quite a bit of Therium, but really good drop harass there. Of course, the Fellhogs being Fiend fodder, and that was a nice way for VortiX to keep exerting pressure in this game. Staying very active, while Bosse has kind of gone back to clumping his whole army in one big ball.
Yeah, he has, and VortiX, he's not going to let this middle go up without a response. He's going to start spreading his shroud here closer to the middle, and Bosse, he knows that tree line just got absolutely smashed and open by these Rotidons, and VortiX, he is still dropping, man. Like, he lost his Doombringer from earlier, but he is all about that life, and they are very, very, very good if left untouched.
Yeah, you can always just land that Doombringer, let it heal. Great move to come in before these Shroud Stones are completely finished. They're starting to get up, but the Magmadons, let's see how they go on both sides. You can see the army kind of getting stuck back there for Bosse. One Magmadon comes forward for VortiX, but VortiX doesn't want to fight into 2-3 finished Shroud Stones. Is going to pull back, has his own Shroud Stones going down to kind of siege this location. I mean, if you're looking at ranged damage, you don't have a lot of good ranged damage units till Hellborn out. So both sides using the Shroud Stones. Great Magmadon Stompies, the Roddydons. Roddy in the club right now, getting some big damage for VortiX.
Nobody dances with Roddy in the club besides Roddy, and that's exactly what's happening. Roddy's on both sides of things. Shroud Stones going down. Infest all over the place as well, getting on those back lines. You saw it with that massive ring. And oh my goodness, so much carnage coming down from both sides. And the last people standing on the dance floor, as always, it is the Roddydons.
Indeed. And he's still got so many gaunts alive, does VortiX in the back. Few fiends from the spawning there, and taking the Grove is always a high risk, high reward maneuver. In this case, it was high risk that got punished. The rewards did not have time to kick in, and Bosse gets punished. Is back to 3 base against a 4 base VortiX. VortiX has the biggest standing army as well, so this is an easy time for him to either counter push for the win, or the safe move is just take the Grove for yourself.
Definitely, and I mean, losing that base, that was massive value there that Bosse's lost, and I see Fiends over there in the south dealing damage. I see so much Infernal power just coming in as well, and the Gaunt back line, even though they don't deal the most damage, this amount of them, I mean, this Hellborn, it's got no meat shield. That Magmadon, the Roddydon coming in, trying to do what he can, but, I mean, there's nothing Bosse has left in the tank, I feel. He's been shut down by VortiX.
Yeah. It's a numbers game at this point, isn't it, mate? I remember Bosse's first drop got shut down earlier. I think that was such a huge turning point in this game where VortiX also went straight to 3 bases. Oh my lord, those poor imps, mate. The cutest unit in the game, just getting absolutely trampled.
Definitely, and I tell you what, that was impressive from VortiX, because Bosse, I don't think he played bad at all. I don't think he played bad at all. It's just everything that he did, it felt like VortiX was maybe one step ahead. Just looked very solid, well-rounded. And I'm looking forward to see how some of these lads do clash, because, yeah, you've got Probe that look very good, and he's got a date with Parding in the next round. You've got VortiX over here that looks very solid as well.